this session possible. We will have 90 minutes to discuss how social economy can be motor of the rural development. First, we will have an opening speech by the European Commission from my colleague. After, we will have 3 presentations giving national level and the research perspective on the topic, together with an overview work of the ENRD in this area. After that, we will hear 3 practical examples from all over Europe, from more closer to the local level, after which we will have a discussion, a block of Q&A. Once again, I would like to encourage you to use the chat function for comments and questions, and to ask for the floor, please. We will not use the Q&A function today to keep it simply. And as we have very little time, I encourage speakers to answer also directly in the chat. The housekeeping rules about this kind of information, I would like to ask all of you to mute your microphone, if not speaking, of course. And very important that right after I finish my sentence here, I will record. No, my colleague already started to record. We will record this event for later use, summarize and promote this event, and also to share the knowledge for other experts and colleagues in this field, in the field of social economy. I would like to hand now the floor to my colleague, Maria Gafo Gomez. Please, Maria, take the floor and give your speech.
Thank you very much, Mátyás, and good afternoon to everybody. I'm really happy that we are having this session today on social economy and social innovation as a motor of rural resilience. I don't know if you had the possibility to look at the website of the European Social Economy Summit in Mannheim, but you can see that it's really a major event on this issue. And I think it will not be complete without a session, of course, addressing specifically the situation of rural areas. Rural areas, as you all know, are subject to a number of challenges. I see in the chat that we have people from Portugal, from Romania, from Germany. So looking, for example, at Portugal and Romania, there are some regions that are affected by demographic challenges, including depopulation, aging, generational renewal, and in some cases also gender. So these challenges are common to many rural areas in Europe. Specific attention should be paid also to, in particular, to remote rural areas to help to ensure that better infrastructures and digital access are provided, educational and health services, as well as other public amenities. It will be essential to provide responses to the main challenges faced by the rural population in the European Union. And I really believe that social economy and social innovation can be a drive for many rural areas. Going back to the topic of social economy, it is an economy that puts people and the planet first. And because of this, it is highly relevant to rural areas. Why? Because this economy can improve access to basic services, also can create jobs and foster social inclusion while promoting this digital and green transition where we are going. Looking at the social economy entities, normally they are micro, small, or medium-sized enterprises. And even if they are very limited in size, looking at the numbers, they represent 10% of all businesses in the European Union. And this is reflected in more than 11 million people working for social economy enterprises. In Europe's rural areas, the social economy can improve, in the first place, this access to basic services that I refer. Also, they can contribute to create job opportunities and foster social inclusion. And these are 3 ingredients needed in order to have vibrant rural areas. Looking at our policy, the European Rural Development Programs under the Common Agricultural Policy have enabled a variety of projects and initiatives based on the values of the social economy. Just to put you some examples, these include villages developing basic services and infrastructures, or farms diversifying their activities to host social, healthcare, or environmental activities. There you also have farmer cooperatives or training and employment opportunities for people at risk of social exclusions. Such initiatives have been supported through various rural development program measures, including LEADER, that allows for a flexible approach, and I confess you that I'm quite fan of this program. I have to mention also the other initiatives like the European Innovation Partnership and the Smart Village concept, which are also very relevant for social economy initiatives in rural areas. And I am sure we will hear much more on this in today's session. Just to conclude, I take the opportunity to inform you about one initiative that we plan to present and adopt at the end of June, which is a long-term vision for rural areas, where in very close consultation with the people living in rural areas, we try to establish a vision for the year 2040 and a roadmap with concrete actions on how to get there. So I'm done. We look forward for a fruitful discussion, and I give you back to the good hands of Mátyás. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria, Deputy Head of Unit DG Agriculture E4. First, I would like to share with you only for a second. I hope you will see it. The result of the first poll. And now, before I introduce the first block of the session, I would like to share with you a Mentimeter poll as well. We would like to ask you to fill the following poll. I hope you are familiar with Mentimeter. If not, I would like to say if you are able to visit the website of menti.com, where you will be asked for a code, which you can see here above. It's 65393909. So if you enter this number, this code, you will be able to participate on this voting and polling tool. This slide will be open during the whole first block, which have a length of more than 20 minutes. So I would like to ask you to fill and give your answers with 3 different words you can submit in the question in the answer room. So please go ahead, share your additional needs. Maybe you will have anything to say after our presentation or during our presentation. What kind of needs we didn't mention. So please go ahead. And quickly, I stopped sharing this. You see, it's already coming. The answers are already coming. We will have hopefully a nice and bright web cloud. So after finishing the sharing my screen, I would like to go and turn to the next block. And give directly, without any other words, the floor to Richard Gavin, Department of Rural and Community Development from Ireland. Please, Richard, make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mátyás, and good afternoon, everybody from Ireland. We're delighted to be able to participate in this very interesting programme. I'm going to kick off straight away with the policy perspective in Ireland, but I'm also going to give you 3 examples of social economy and social enterprises and how they're contributing to rural development. And I think you'll like those examples, which are coming up shortly. So just to start off, Ireland published its first social enterprise policy in 2019. This is a reflection of the Irish government's commitment to the development of social economy and social enterprise. And we continue with that commitment and leadership. In fact, we signed the Toledo Declaration a couple of months ago, which recognizes the role of the social economy in a sustainable and inclusive recovery. So just moving on, just a bit more details about our policy. There's three main objectives in it. One is building awareness of social enterprise. Two is growing and strengthening social enterprise. And the third is achieving policy alignment. And policy alignment is particularly important for this session because I'll be showing you how it aligns with the rural development policy in Ireland. And of course, implementing policy at local level is also the same as supporting social enterprise at local level. And we have tried to actually support it using local bodies. For example, we used 49 local development companies to implement our small capital grants program for social enterprises. And those local development companies are in a unique place. They're well aware of the local needs and the local requirements regarding social enterprise. They are also going to deliver a COVID regeneration scheme. Also, and Maria mentioned it earlier, the LEADER program, among others, provides great support for social enterprises in rural area. We also have a rural regeneration and development fund, which also indirectly supports many social enterprises. Now, infrastructure has often been identified as a key challenge to rural social enterprise. And there's a number of government initiatives that are helping to alleviate this. I'll start off with the National Broadband Plan, which has commenced, and the plan is to deliver high-speed broadband to all premises in Ireland. And that's over 500,000 premises, many of which are social enterprises. And this also supports the development of our National Remote Working Hub network, which has commenced. And again, many of them remote working hubs are actually social enterprises, and many social enterprises work in those. So I'm going to say a bit about our new rural policy, which was launched a couple of months ago. It's Our Rural Future, and it was a major government announcement. It represents the government's vision for a sustainable, inclusive and thriving rural economies and communities. And it addresses both challenges and opportunities for rural areas. It recognises the role of social enterprise and the fact that the enterprise base, which is critical, needs diversification. And part of that is expanding the rural social enterprise sector. And the role of social enterprise, as I mentioned, is referred to quite a lot in the rural development policy. And I've just included a number of them there just for your information. And there's a number of new measures to support the development of social enterprise in rural areas to increase their capacity. Also, the rural policy includes a commitment to expand the use of socially responsible public procurement to allow social economy to engage and to assist with the circular economy organisations. And one initiative that's actually after starting is a pilot bicycle upcycling initiative to support employment creation and to harness the potential of investment in greenways, supporting rural tourism. Now, I'm going to give three good examples of social economy and social enterprises supporting rural development. And what we would really like to see is these being more showcased. These are great examples of how social enterprise helps rural development. I'm going to start off with Clore IDG. It's based in the west of Ireland in Mayo. And there's a number of activities which they're supporting. I just listed some of them there. It is community employment, housing, a picture of a house that they've renovated, made available for people who want to relocate to rural areas. They're also involved in home retrofitting and the Warmer Home Scheme. They have an enterprise centre which accommodates small, medium enterprises and social enterprises as well. And they also have a remote working hub. There's also a community garden. And another initiative which many social enterprises operate is a telephone befriending service where they ring people up, people who are isolated. And this was particularly important during the COVID, where a lot of people were not able to leave their homes. So that just gives you a flavour of many of the activities that social enterprises operate in. For the next example, I'm moving to County Tipperary and a village called Lockmore, which all its shops had closed down, its pubs had closed down, and two local women got together and set up a community-based shop and tea rooms. And this is very successful now. It's now selling local produce, supporting the local economy. It provides community employment, and it's a real focus point for the community, which had been lost with the closure of the shops. It also is active in arts and craft, and it's a major, it's a tourist attraction for that area of County Tipperary. And my final example is it's Dunhill Eco Park in Waterford in the southeast of Ireland. And you could call this a cluster, a social economy cluster, because it has a number of different operations. It has an enterprise centre which houses 30 small, medium enterprises, and that includes many social enterprises. It provides 70 jobs in a rural area. It also has education and training programs for young and old. It is a community, it provides community employment. It has a cafe and a catering service. It also provides a childcare facility for the local area. And again, it's also developing a remote working hub. So I hope those examples have given a good flavour of how social enterprise and the social economy is supporting rural development. And I think the important message here is that we need to, I suppose, showcase these examples more, because they really are a great story and they have a lot to contribute. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand back to you, Mátyás.
Thank you very much, Richard, for your very interesting presentation and respecting the timing. And without any further ado, I would hand over to Gabriela Christmann, Leibniz Institute for Research on Society and Space on Germany. Please, Gabriela, take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mátyás, and hello to everybody. A warm welcome also from my side to you. Let me now present insights from the Redirection project. By the way, I do not have a PPT. I trust in the word purely. And in the Redirection project, we asked how the creation of novel solutions for existing local problems can be achieved in structurally weak rural regions, what social enterprises can play in this, and how social innovations can be systematically promoted. In this respect, we learned a lot from the social enterprise ADC Moura in Bejo Alentejo in southeastern Portugal. This was one of 5 social enterprises in Redirection. I will report very briefly on their approach to work, and then end with recommendations on how social innovation and social enterprises can be supported in rural regions. I come to ADC Moura. The Association for the Development of the Municipality of Moura aims to support the sustainable development of Moura and other areas in the region. Like many other social enterprises in rural areas, they turn to very different sectors to achieve this goal. They work thus very, very extremely diverse. So they support the creation of startups, help small businesses to compete in the market. They support local civil society initiatives in obtaining funding for specific projects. They offer training and also qualification programs for rural residents, provide environmental education, and also help minorities such as a Roma community in the region to articulate their interests and communicate with authorities. This is always done with the aim of increasing the quality of social relations and processes in the region, but also to support the creative and sustainable development of new services and products, as well as of the opening up of new markets in an innovative way. ADC Moura wants to address the needs of the people in the region and wants to mobilize people to become active. It aims at mitigating regional structural weaknesses by participatory, solidarity-based, and sustainable development processes. Great importance is attached to putting a value on endogenous resources, strengthening local competencies, and increasing the exchange of knowledge in the region. But knowledge from outside, not least from other countries, is also systematically sought. To achieve this, ADC Mura relies on intensive networking and a wide variety of communicative formats with and between local stakeholders. The ADC Mura's volunteers work very actively in these networks. They participate in various regional development committees and of course also support communication with decision makers in the region and beyond. For example, ADC Mura has supported networking between farmers who produce organic medicinal herbs, and it was clear to the farmers that they would have to work together if they wanted to be successful in the market, but they did not quite know how to go about it. Moreover, they did not have the time for all the communication work because after all, they have to work in the field. So they turned to ADC Mura for help, and with their help built a novel concept for collaborative marketing of their products. So this is only one example which I wanted to highlight from these very different activities. But so what do we recommend to policymakers against this background? I'm going to be very selective about this, and I only have 4 central points. I cannot go into the complexity that arises from the fact that in our policy paper, we are addressing policymakers at 4 different levels, from the local level up to the EU. So first of all, first point, it is necessary that publicly accessible meeting places are available to the community, free of charge, and equipped with certain basic amenities in order to enable the creative collaboration of local residents and networks. This is indeed a very basic means of supporting socially innovative initiatives, but given rural conditions, it is by no means a trivial one. Secondly, support is needed for moderated communicative events such as regulars, tables, design thinking, or future workshops. Financial resources should be provided for the implementation of moderated communication formats for collaborative creative processes. Third, competence centers need to be established in the wider region of a rural area that help all the key groups in building and maintaining support networks. These centers need to be operated by social enterprises since they are the specialists for networking, co-creation, and governance in social innovation processes. They are intermediaries between the stakeholders. They function as catalysts and help to shape the exchange effectively and productively. And fourth, unlike before, those rural social enterprises should now receive funding for this time-consuming networking and communication work, which they made before just as a side effect, if they have overheads from another project, just to finance this very, very important work, which is crucial for the development of novel solutions. So far from my side. If you are interested in more information, please feel free to watch our Rurection documentary film entitled Working with Communities and to read our policy paper. And I will post this in the chat in a moment. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. Thank you for your presentation on the Rurection researches and the policy recommendations. Very interesting indeed. And now, without any further words, I would like to turn to Elena Di Federico from ENRD. My colleague Elena, please take the floor and do your presentation. Thank you.
Mátyás. Thank you, Mátyás. Good morning, everyone. So I hope you can see the opening slide. I hope it's visible for everyone. Thanks. So I represent the UNRD contact point where I work. The UNRD contact point, very briefly, as a contact point of the European Network for Rural Development. We are a European Commission supported initiative. We work as a hub for the exchange of information on how rural development programs work in practice, and our core activities are networking, thematic work, and knowledge sharing, also through publications. So while the social economy has not been really one of the key thematic work or thematic topics we worked on in our years of activity, we've come across a number of projects funded through rural development programs, activities, initiatives, and we've recently published as well a document on this topic. And there are a few things we've learned in these years, and the main one is that the very principles underlying the social economy make it relevant for rural areas. And those principles are, of course, people and the planet over profit, so this human-centered approach, and the close connection to local communities. And through this, and because of this, social economy initiatives and social enterprises can improve the access to basic services in rural areas, can create inclusive jobs and job opportunities. It can foster social inclusion, and all this while enabling the digital and the green transition that the EU as a whole is embarking on. We've also seen more recently, especially with the sanitary crisis, that social economy initiatives in rural areas have showed a certain resilience or have improved the resilience of certain rural areas. For example, by ensuring the delivery of food or medical supplies also to remote communities and to disadvantaged groups or isolated groups. When it comes to the rural social economy, it's a complex picture with challenges in terms of data collection, and these are the challenges that we have for the social economy in general. So there's different definitions and different legal frameworks and historical traditions for the social economy across different countries, different data sets that are collected, and as a consequence, difficulty in comparing those data across countries. So probably the impact of the social economy in rural areas is best understood in qualitative terms, or more easily understood in qualitative terms than in quantitative terms. But it's a clear impact. And in a nutshell, the social economy enables a broader vision of local development to become true. We've also learned that there are several rural development program measures can be used to support the social economy. Maria Gafo was mentioning some of them earlier. Measures that can be used range from measures supporting diversification of activities on farm to basic services and village renewal. The smart village approach and the EIP Agri have been mentioned as well. The leader method, so RDP measure 19, is possibly the most flexible tool that can enable social economy initiatives in rural areas. And we've seen lots of examples of leader projects. There's also an argument that the 7 founding principles of the leader method resonate well with the principles of the rural economy as well. So summing up, in rural areas, the social economy can stimulate the transformative potential of local communities by enabling local entrepreneurship that responds to unmet local challenges, but also by creating inclusive jobs, and making services more accessible. It can enable a systemic approach to social innovation, one that answers in a holistic way the intertwined social, economic, and environmental challenges that we are facing. The social economy and social enterprises can better face or enable the digital transition, but one with a human-centered approach. And there's also an argument that this primacy of people and the planet over profit could well become the new normal in the green transition that Europe has embarked on, particularly now with the COVID-19 pandemic. I would stop here, and I hope this was clear, but I also hope it was not enough, and you will want to read more, much more, because we've just released a publication focused on the rural social economy. It's the latest edition of our EU Rural Review. We've gathered a number of true European experts who have shared their views and experiences on these topics. The topics I've mentioned: contribution of rural social economy for vibrant rural areas, social innovation, green and digital transition. And we've also asked various Directorate Generals of the European Commission to share, to collect information about how the EU has been supporting the social economy so far, and what's the plan for the future. Everything is Rural Review 31, inrd.eu/publications. I will post a link in the chat as well. And I also invite you to follow us on social media and ask any questions you may have here in the chat or via email. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena. And I would like to thank you all of our speakers in the first block, especially for the professional and punctual presentation, respecting the timing. And now I would like to share with you the first results of our the second poll, the first Mentimeter results. And I hope you are also able to see it in live. Still, results are still responses and answers are still arriving, but still, it looks very clearly that infrastructure and internet is appearing in many of your answers. But we also do have also some soft elements and soft factors like cooperation, like skills, but also the financial tools and supports. But once again, I think it looks very clearly from, of course, not a representative sample, but still experts are thinking, the way of experts are thinking about the needs of social enterprises. And it's mainly around internet and infrastructure and soft skills. Thank you very much for answering this poll. Later we will have another one. And now, as we are well ahead of our schedule, I would like to remind you that the discussion will be after the next block, and I would like to invite you to put your questions into the chat box, and the speakers, I would like to encourage the speakers to respond there. The next block is about learning from experiences from the more local level, and without any further ado, I would like to hand over the floor to Louise Aubert, project manager. Please, Louise, take the floor and do your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mátyás. Well, good afternoon. I am Louise, and I will share my screen right now. Okay, here it is. So yeah, I am Louise, and I work for the association, which is called NRTER. So I will give you a concrete example of what can be local social innovation here in Normandy. With our example, I would say this is also an environmental and even economical and architectural innovation. It's great. So first I will tell you where we are so you can understand a bit better. So we are here in France, in Normandy. This is our sector of innovation. This is a peninsula. This is important to know because this is a very this is a territory which has lots of specificities concerning I don't find my words anymore. But anyway, this is a peninsula and there are a lot of marshes. And so this is where we were born. This association is actually an initiative of a local authority, which is called PNR. So this is Regional Nature Park of Cotentin and Bessin Marshes, which is one of the local authorities that we have here. As you may know, in France, we have a lot of local authorities which overlay. So this is actually this is an initiative from them. The idea was to support the built heritage renovation. One of the specificity of this context is that we have lots of houses made of mud and stones, especially of mud. And lots of people still live in these houses. This is not only for tourism, and lots of them don't have the money to renovate it properly, respecting the architecture and some environmental issues. So there is this context also of precarity of inhabitants here. We are in a rural area. This is quite isolated. But the idea was to say, okay, but people have other resources. So how can we help these inhabitants who live in this situation? And this is how we arrive to this system, which is what we call shared and supported self-renovation. So I will explain it to you. What is it? It is a way to help people to renovate their house. So why is it shared? Because the renovation are made by volunteers, not only by volunteers, but also by volunteers. It can be neighbors or families or others. It is supported because there is always a building professional who supervises the work, so we can be sure that it will be well done. Self, because it is also made by the person who lives inside the house, which is very important for the rise of competences and for the empowerment of people. And renovation, the works that we want to propose, or that we on what we help people, are always renovation that will allow to improve the living condition. It's not about only make it more beautiful, but really make it more comfortable. Like, for example, something very common, thermal insulation, which improve the comfort of people. Okay, so this is what we do. This is the core of Enerter, what Enerter does. There is one added value I wanted to say. This is we also organize the system of mutual help. So there is what we call a local exchange trading system inside the association. It means that there is an exchange between the different inhabitants. We call them the beneficiaries. So it means that if an inhabitant is helped by the association during the work site, this inhabitant will come to another work site at another place, and he will, let's say, give back the hours that the volunteers gave to him. So it is like organizing solidarity. Anyway, what we can see, I would say, what we observe is that people always give more than what they are obliged to give. So if someone had 1 week of work site in his home, anyway, he will give more time for other people. This is something that we observe in this system. So, okay, I'm still good in time. I can tell you a bit more about all the positive impacts of this system that we organize. First, we improve the housing condition of the people here. One of the aim is to reduce the renovation cost by intervening the volunteers. I don't know how to do that, how to say that, but I mean, with the volunteers, the works can be a bit less expensive. This is why these work sites are always for inhabitants who have small revenue. This is one of our criteria here. We just go to people's houses of persons who have really low income. One of the aim also is reduce energy bills. This is why I was talking about thermal insulation, for example, improve empowerment of people, and also fight isolation. As you can see on this picture, one of the most important moments of these work sites are the shared times, which are really informal, around cafes or during the meals. This is really a part of the whole system. And also more generally, I would say we also promote local materials and economy, because the craftsperson who intervene are always local from here, and the materials also are local. And for example, the earth or mud that we use for internal or external plasters, for example, because this is something we do very commonly, comes from here. I would say also that we enhance built heritage and landscape, because this kind of houses, if they are not well renovated, it can lead to damage this important heritage. This heritage of the territory. Okay, I don't know if I'm fine with the time. I decided not to say more, because I was afraid to speak more, because usually I exceed the time that I have. But obviously I have a bit time if you, I don't know.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Louise. First of all, I would like to thank you for your presentation, for your to sharing with us your best practice, and I would like to raise your awareness that you got some questions, or at least one I see from Katarina in the chat. Please don't hesitate to answer also there, or if you can do it right now, because as you said, you were shorter than we expected.
What is the incentive for volunteers to help, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember what is incentive.
Going to, or plan to, or what are they doing, and such things.
Maybe I will write down on the chat,
okay.
Because I'm not sure about the vocabulary.
Okay. It's also good like this. Then thank you once again, and I would then turn to Hannele. Would you be so kind, Hannele, to take the floor? Also a project supervisor from Finland. Please take the floor, Hannele. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Glad to be here and meet all of you. I'll tell you about the Silta project and how we have supported youth entrepreneurship. I come from, can you see that? Yeah, I come from Reisjärvi. It's a small town in Finland, about 3,000 residents. And I'm a teacher in Reisjärvi Christian College. And this Silta project was started by a boarding school. In Finland, some 15-year-old students are used to have mini companies. And in those companies, they practice making a business for a year. And every year, some students with great business ideas want to continue after that mini company year, but they face some problems. They are underage, so having a real company is quite complicated. And that's the situation in our college too. After that college year, those students, they are on their own with all of that business bureaucracy. So, we wanted to solve that problems. We wanted to build a bridge from mini company program to further entrepreneurship. And Silta means bridge in Finnish. And in Silta project, we invented the cooperative verkosto. And that verkosto is cooperative for all young people who are interested in entrepreneurship. And that verkosto cooperative takes care of young members' business bureaucracy. So we organized training courses where members meet each other, get inspiration, develop their skills, and can learn from experienced entrepreneurs and their stories. And we have really learned that young people, that there is much potential when you give them some inspiration and trust them. They really can surprise you. Those photos, they are really small, but they are mainly from those training courses. In that first picture, there are some employees of the call center, which 3 boys invented, and Versosto's WhatsApp group seems to be very active at times. Sorry, this is something somehow okay. Some more business. Top left, you can see Juho, who is drone pilot, and he has made great videos for many customers. And Paula, that young lady with camera, she started photographing, and now she has her own company, and photographing is her main job. Top right, you can find Aino. She is an active speaker in the youth entrepreneurship field, also a member of Versosto board. And those 2 girls invented a summer coffee in a really lonely village, and that summer coffee made in 5 weeks 15,000 euros turnover. And actually just now their 4th summer is about beginning. Here you can see some results. That call center I mentioned before, it has been the largest business. It even had an office in Spain. But actually this business was sold to its biggest customers because of those growing risks. We made a questionnaire, and the result was that interest increased in living in rural areas. And I think this is remarkable if we think that this result comes from young people. Situation today. After that Silta project, cooperative Versosto has operated independently. But we have learned that active adults with passion are needed to support young entrepreneurship, but time resources are very important too. Working for cooperative Versosto is like volunteering for Versosto board members now, but there is really a need to have those things as someone's duty. So just now we are negotiating that Reisjärvi Christian College could take care of those training courses, and maybe this might be a project of entrepreneurship line students, for example, during that study year. And we also started a pilot period with a company which offers a light entrepreneurship service. So the aim is to keep it as simple as it was at the beginning. Training courses, so giving them and helping young entrepreneurs with business bureaucracy. So those 2 main parts. So I think this was my presentation. I will send you a video link to the chat field, and maybe you have time later to watch it and let Versosto members tell you about their experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hannele. Your presentation on this very nice initiative on support of youth entrepreneurship. and entrepreneurs. Without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Samuel, also project manager from Belgium. Please, Samuel, take the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mátyás. Hello, everybody. I'm pleased to be here with you today. I think that my document is now available for everybody. Yes, it is. Okay. So I'm Samuel. I'm from Belgium, where I stand at the moment, and I participated, and I'm still involved in the creation and the development of a project of social farming in the French-speaking part of Belgium, and most particularly in Brussels and in the south of Brussels. So our company or organization is the better word. Is called Nos Oignons. This flag is written in French, I'm sorry, but it says social farming, an alliance that makes sense. You've got a person with the chicken who says, I feel better, the farmer feels better as well, and the chicken and the sheep says that's win-win. So that's a summary of our proposition. So I'll take it by the beginning. Actually, our organization was founded in 2012 in Brussels, from Brussels actually, from a day life center for people suffering psychological difficulties. And we set up the project together with vegetable producers, a producer in the Green Belt in Wallonia, but not too far from Brussels. And during the 2 first years, we organized collective workshops together with people from the Day Life Center, so patients from this medical center, and together with the farmer. It was 1 day a week, and it was organized as an exchange of services between the group and the farmer, which means there was no exchange of money, and we helped him in the morning, and as a counterpart, he offered the group to take care about a piece of land on which we grew vegetables for the people of the group. It was a small piece of ground. We were all volunteers at the beginning, and by we began to work together with other institutions. We decided to set up the organization to be a third part in between the Day Life Center and the farmer, because in Belgium you can't be a volunteer in a farm, in an ordinary farm that's making business. So our organization took the responsibility to create this new shape. By 2014, we began to work together also with a general hospital in the south of Brussels, in Wallonia, in Ottigny. You see the map after then. And we developed a new bonds with other regions. We made some kind of benchmarking to see what was existing in other regions as institutions, social institutions, working with ordinary farms. That's it. So, I'm back. What we experimented from 2015 was to accompany a few individual experiences in the farms, and it was like experimental. And by that moment, we heard that our region, so Wallonia, had launched call to projects to develop such experimentations in social institutions and farms working together. And so we decided to apply to this call with 3 partners. Actually, we are so co-authors of 3 rural development projects that are led by a public center for social action, which is a general help institution in Belgium, a public institution, and 2 mental health services who are founded by the region but are private. And those 3 projects were taking place in the same region on the territory of Wallon-Brabant in the south of Brussels. So at the moment, in 2021, we are active in Brussels with 2 collective gardens in urban farms, in Wallonia with 2 collective gardens in ordinary vegetable growers farms. And we have those 2 projects because one of the 3 ended in 2019, but we still work with a mental health service and with the public center for social help in Tubize. So you see the 2 orange spots. Those 2 projects, so they are funded by Europe and Wallonia, and they are really focusing on individual experiences in the farms. And so we, at the moment, those 2 points are small on the map, but we have almost 45 farms that are in partnerships with the project. And that means that in these 45 farms, there are people going every week to share the everyday life of the farms. And this is organized from 1 or 2 hours per week to 1 or 2 days per week, never more. But that's this kind of activities that we organize together with the farms and with the social institutions who accompany their beneficiaries and who give their beneficiaries our contacts. So what we do is that we have a network of social institutions and mental health institutions in a large variety of sectors, so handicap, mental health issues, psychiatric diseases, unemployment in some way, and burnout, etc. Very, very diversified situations leads people to our project. So in Wallonia, more broadly, we are located where you see it on the map, but if you take the south part of Belgium, you see that there are actually 15 projects in Wallonia. And at the moment, we all together with all these projects, we can count up to 175 farms that are or in activity with social farming or in standby, or some more in planning of new partnerships with social institutions. Most of these projects are also funded by Europe and Wallonia. And this project actually are coming to an end by the end of this year, even if we hope that it will be renewed for 2 more years. I prepared some slide with what are the benefits for the stakeholders. Still have a little bit of time, but I'll be pleased to give you links after then. That's for the farm. That's a new encounters. That's local bonds, improving the image of the agriculture, which is something very much underlined by the farmers. That's diversifying the farmers' activities. That's more value for the farmers' social and health skills. That's sharing a passion, opening one's door. For the people that's contact with life, that's sharing friendly moments in a non-institutional context, which is very important. The farmers are not becoming social workers, they are farmers. That's finding back a rhythm of life. Maybe I'll let you discover all the other benefits, but what I want to underline is the fact that the farms are really offering a unique setting for the people that are coming there. That's not too formal, that's quite often a bit isolated, but at the same time bonded to the surrounding. So it offers the people who are suffering from isolation or a difficult situation in life to come back into social life, but at a rhythm that's their rhythm. And That's not the family rhythm or the employment rhythm or an institutional rhythm, and that's very interesting. And another thing that's very, very interesting and typical in this project is that we meet all together people from a broad variety of social situations, so that there's a great social mix that's very interesting. And even the social institutions we are working with often underline that. That's quite very interesting to see that people with very different situations come together. I think, Mátyás, I should end it, so I won't be very long. I'll just show you a few pictures and I'll give you links on the chat to discover some videos on our website. They are in French, I'm sorry, but they are quite nice.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Very interesting, and thank you all for the speakers for the super best practices you shared with us. I would like to invite you now, first of all, to fill the second Mentimeter slide. This would be on the challenges we are or the social entrepreneurs facing. I will leave it open until almost the end of the discussions. Maybe we can have some words on it at the end. But now I would like to open the floor for you, for the participants. It is time now for raise your questions. Please take the floor. Helen, you can break the ice. Maybe you had a nice question to Samuel. You're muted, Helen. You're muted. We don't hear you, but then don't worry. Samuel, it is for you. But from Helen, is this cost effective also for the social institutions given tight public budgets?
Well, actually, that was one point in my last slide that I went through. Actually, what's interesting is that it's really cost effective because it won't reduce the cost in the social institution themselves, but it's like clearly an alternative to social institution, or maybe more a complementary offer. Because when people go to the farms, actually the farmer in our case, when it's individual, he receives a small fee, I think. Well, he is paid a small amount, that's 40 euro for a day or 25 euro for half a day. But as it's like maximum 2 days per week, that's not an enormous amount, of course. But for the people going there, we really often see that they are in much better health. They don't go back to the hospital. And for example, for people who suffer psychiatric disease, who would go back to the hospital, the cost for the society is very high. and going to the farm every week is an alternative and really improves the individual situation, so that those people, they are better in health, and of course it costs less to the society. That's a first answer. The other answer is that we don't need new infrastructures for all these projects, because the 175 farms that are involved at the moment, we hope to increase the number up to 500 in the coming years. That's our plan. We are negotiating it with our regional authorities. But that means that all those farms already exist. And these partnerships, they are also a support to the farms, and at the same time they make a new offer at quite a low cost. At the moment, that's not a low cost, because all those pilot projects, they cost quite a lot for every people in the farm. But more and more, now that the projects are well, they are well installed. I don't know the word in English. There are more and more people in the farms, and so the costs are really going down. The cost per people in the farm, I mean.
Thank you, Samuel. Gisela, we have, you can take the floor if you want. There's a question from Gisela in the chat. I hope you also...
Who is paying my... Sorry.
What?
So I see the question, who is paying my salary? Actually, me, myself, I work 1 day a week on each one of the 2 projects funded by the EU and Wallonia that I mentioned. And my colleagues that are working on those projects full-time or part-time, but they are fully funded by EU and Wallonia. And the other part of my salary and my job is paid or by the regional authority regarding the collective workshops, or by private fundings.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I hope all of you saw the message repeating me, Alexia, how to take the floor. Please raise your questions. If not, or until you collect your questions, I would turn to the speakers. Do you see? You are all heard the questions or the presentations. I will share it now. The result of the first poll on the needs. And I would like to ask you about how do you see the similar needs, or you have additional elements to speak about based on your own experience? It should be this one. I hope you all see the screenshot of the result of the first Mentimeter voting. Because and I turn once again. I turn to the speakers. What do you think about this picture? How do you see based on your own experience? Please go ahead. While I'm sharing the screen, I don't see anything else, so I don't know who would like to take the floor.
If it's okay, I could just briefly say a few words.
Okay, thank you.
Just looking at that, and I had mentioned it in one of my own slides, it's not surprising to see infrastructure coming up. I mean, somebody else mentioned that social enterprises all have many challenges, be it awareness, be it supports, financial supports, training supports, but infrastructure, especially for rural areas, areas. And yeah, it's not surprising to see it coming up. And in Ireland, it's a challenge. As I mentioned, we have a national broadband plan that is being implemented and is, I suppose, dealing with some of that. But no, I'm not surprised to see that. That's a significant issue for rural social enterprises.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now I turned off the sharing. Please, Gabriela, take the floor.
Yes, I can agree with that what Richard Gavin said. So for me, it's also not very surprising to see this Mentimeter poll. So infrastructure is always in the center. This is why it's not trivial to give some first elementary things to the actors, right? So that they can really meet and work together. This is most important, and this was always said by all the social enterprises we worked with, or also other actors in the field. So this is so important, and also the internet, of course. And some communities also started to work with digital tools to solve their problems. And this is why the internet and fast internet, broadband internet is very much needed, but also specific apps for local users are also very helpful to organize their daily purchases and so on and so on. So it's really very elementary. And I see here the work of the European Network of Rural Development with the Smart Villages portal so important, because there are already very nice information for the villagers to look at and to learn from it. We need much more from this in the future when it comes to internet, to have also the portals where the knowledge is already there about some first solutions that have been made and approaches, so that people do not have to reinvent the wheel again in their regions, so that they can refer to that what has been already done in Europe.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. Indeed, I share this view as well. Richard, you had a question to the other speakers, Hannele, Samuel, Louise. The question in the chat was dedicated to you. Would you respond it now, here maybe? Thank you.
So I'm sorry, you mean the questions from John Grieve or another question?
I saw the question of Richard. No, John Grieve. Yeah, sorry, John Grieve. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in our case, the question, I think everybody sees the question. So actually, in the beginning, we focused on mental health issues, and one of our aim was to destigmatize these health issues. So there was an aim to create a context of making new bonds outside of the institution. But actually, all that emphasized a lot when we began to work with the Public Center for Social Action, that is one of our partners now, because their public was very broad, diverse, and so it appeared to be a kind of evidence that it was really strong to work without focusing on one particular public, but focusing on a program that makes sense and the people arrive to connect with it from where they are, and there are diverse reasons to come. But in Wallonia, within the 15 projects that I mentioned that are founded on the same way as us, most are focusing on one public actually. But in the farms, of course, there are encounters, and it opens the doors. Yeah, I don't know for the others, of course.
Thank you, Samuel. and John for the question. Hannele or Louise, would like to respond? Louise, go ahead.
Yes, I can add something about us. Our first goal was really to help people, but of course the approach was global. So if you want to intervene or do something, you will think global always. You will think what is the smartest in an economical way, social way, environmental way. So this is how we arrived to this wide benefits. This was not the aim first, but this is what we observed at the end, because we wanted to do it in a logical and smart way. So this is, I don't know if this is exactly the question, but this is my answer. And also, I wanted to add something about the words that you showed before, Mátyás, the challenges. I was a bit surprised that I didn't see the financial support bigger, because this is a big thing. Without financial support, we just don't exist. We are Enerter, a non-profit association, and our first role is to, our action are first social. So of course we will act for people who don't have money. So if we don't have money from local authorities or states, or I don't know, we cannot work. We have to keep in mind that the action that we develop cannot generate money. So we are trying to find something else than money. And so the other challenge is the support by the local authorities. We really need that. I mean, we are too small in front of, for example, I don't know, big enterprises. I didn't say it before, but Enerter is trying to develop other activities. And for example, we try to develop a local distribution channel of earth as a construction material, because it seems really stupid, but here, if you want to build a home with earth, you don't have local earth. Earth is everywhere, but we don't have a existing channel which works. So the association decided to develop this. Okay, if we don't have the support of local authorities, it cannot work, because there will always be a big enterprise who can do with something less expensive by using materials which come from very very other places. I mean, very far away. So I think there is a big role from local authorities today to develop this kind of innovation. This is not an innovation, but this, yeah, it should be the norm. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. As you said, or because of what you said, I would like to share now the other result of the other poll. As you can see, or I would say, this is much more balanced, and none of the elements dominate the word cloud, and much more soft elements are presented here. So of course there are still infrastructure and digital infrastructure, but the social capital, the skills, the capital and funding, these kind of challenges are also there. It's somehow, from my personal perspective, it's a little bit controversial with the other result, but it is also reflecting what you just said, Louise, that yes, the funds, the support system, the bureaucracy, and this kind of background and environment is needed for the social economy. I would like to turn to the participant once again. Please take the floor. I know that John was not able to communicate with us through the audio system. I hope the others are able to join us on the floor. Please come in. Yeah, and as Helen. Thank you for Max sharing with us in your also in the first and the second post interesting resources. Thank you very much. Helen, I don't know if you are able to join us now, or should I? No, still not. Okay, then I hope everybody can read it, but I do read it loudly. The examples also seem to show a key need about supporting the cost of people's time. Indeed, the support system should focus also on these kind of costs. Not always possible to support fixed costs, only investment costs. I don't know if you how would you react on this? I turn to the speakers also.
I would say, if I can,
please.
I would say, in the continuation of what Louise said, that to innovate, you need to be in some kind of comfort. There's something that's uncomfortable that pushes you to innovate, but to make it happen, you need to be in some comfort yourself on some way. And so that's one point. And the fact that we have to find some money to face people's costs. So our cost is the major cost, like the employees, but also the farmers and also the people going to the farms. We need to find some way to facilitate, for example, the fact that they can arrive to the farm, because there's a transportation cost that's not, I did not mention it, but that's one major difficult point on the ground. And also, for example, in our collective workshops, we decided to devote a budget to give a volunteering fee to the people. They can ask for 10 euro per day on the field. That was like something changing their status. Like, they are not beneficiaries of social service only. They are also granted a little fee that recognizes their involvement on the field, and that allows them to take the bus or to come with a sandwich or something. That's small, but that's symbolically important.
Thank you, Samuel. You confirmed this is important, and we do see this as a problem. And it is the same situation with the message of Konstantin. Indeed, it's a very complex challenges we are facing, and long-term failures of states and local governments, etc. And only the EU fund is the funds would not be able to solve these kind of questions. But indeed, we need access to the social entrepreneurs would need access to financial tools, investors, etc. Yes, it is a very important dimension. But I'm very sure that we would be able to speak about these topics hours long, but our time is coming to close to end. And
Mátyás,
yes,
it's Alexia speaking.
Yeah.
we had foreseen, this collective harvesting that has been going on while the discussion was going. So would it be fine if I would share the results now and people have a chance to complete if something very important is missing, speakers or audience?
Please.
Should we do that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I hope it's fine.
Do you see it? Can you see?
And enlarge it a little bit more, please. Yes, now it's better.
Yeah?
Yes.
So we have collected a bit what you were saying in the background in the discussion on challenges and needs and how rural social enterprises could best be supported. So this is just for you to have an overview as we are reaching the end, and maybe if there's additional points that you would like to flag on things that are very important for rural social enterprises to be supported, well, I guess it would be the last moment, Mátyás. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Alexia. Indeed, once I can just only echo myself that we would be able to speak about this very interesting topic hours long. We collected some points on the challenges and the needs and support needed. Thank you very much to make the notes, Alexia. I turn to the participants. If anybody has a last additional comment on this, please take the floor. If not, then I would at last turn to Maria Gafo again. Please take the floor, Maria, and conclude our workshop here or session here in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mátyás, and thanks a lot for the speakers. I think it has been a luxury to have you all this afternoon presenting so many inspiring examples. And just to conclude, I will present some keywords that stay in my head. Of course, the complete picture is in the slide that Alexia has prepared with this harvesting sheet. But I think we heard quite strongly across the discussion these different of infrastructure and internet in particular, but we also heard about social capital and also, of course, about the need for financial support. There were also some concrete elements that were raised, for example, by Gabriel on the need for places to meet. So if there are public spaces available for people, this can facilitate the role of rural enterprises. And then we heard also about some concrete problems like this issue of isolation and the example that Richard presented about the telephone service, which I think it's very, very interesting. And I think in the current situation of COVID and this need to break this isolation has been even more high, unfortunately, on the life of many people. On the tools, also the full picture is in Alexia's harvesting, but I think very prominently we heard about LEADER, EIP, smart villages, but also about networking. On the examples, well, I was really pleased to have more information about those. So on Enerter, I think on the heritage is something that I think it's probably relevant to many rural areas across Europe. So thanks a lot, Louise, for the example. On the project for Hannele on Sila about the mentors and sponsors, the need to support the youth and also to put together people from different ages. I think it's also very relevant to also encourage the entrepreneurship of the youth, also with the experience of other ages. And then on Les Bagnons, I live in Brussels, so I was aware of this nice project on social farming. And as I mentioned, unfortunately, on this COVID crisis, we see that there are more mental health problems across the population. So I think projects like this can be very helpful. I think there was just an answer question, and it is the issue how to put together the complexity of the multiple levels. And this is an issue also that appeared in the long-term vision that I said that we will adopt in June. and I hope that we can put forward some suggestions to bring it forward. So thank you very much to everybody, the participants, the speakers, and especially Mátyás for organizing and for bringing us so well in this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria. And as a last point, I would like to thank for all the speakers for your presentation. Also for the participant for listening us and staying with us, and also for the co-organizers, the team organizer team, for your contribution on this session. Thank you very much, and I wish a good day to all. We can go to other sessions. We can participate on other workshops and the summit. Nice afternoon for all. Thank you very much.